But the idea is, if you're striving to get to the level of a professional referee and assistant referee specifically, these things need to be second nature to you. You can't waste time thinking about these things. They just need to come to you when you see them. Okay? Because you have other things that you need to be dealing with at the same time, so you're always multitasking. And the reason why I think this presentation will become relevant for a lot of you is you now have a new PDL team coming in, right? So that'll be a brand new staff, a brand new team of players that you likely don't know. That's a professional environment. Number two, you have your USL, and some of you guys will get games with the Monarchs and ladies, okay? And when you get those games especially, you're going to have the referee likely being flown in. That referee is probably what we call a tier 1 or tier 2 referee. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with what's going on with pro and U.S. soccer, but there's a tier of referees that they're grooming for MLS, right? And they have them ranked in 3 tiers. So you'll get people from those top 2 tiers flying in from all over the country to do games at the Monarchs. Some of those people will have communication devices, meaning the radios, and they're the open mic, not the push-to-talk pieces of junk. Okay, these are ones where if you're talking to yourself, everybody's going to hear you. You're also going to have possibly the AR1, the senior AR, may also be flying in, and they may be part of the tier group for the ARs. A lot of those guys and girls
currently the only person in this conference.
So we're going to talk about some of the things that you need to be thinking about with those devices. So those are kind of the things that we're going to touch upon, and I will tie that into the teamwork aspect about when we need to get involved and when we should just do our job and not be such a nuisance to the game and to the referee sometimes. The other reason why it should be important is you now have also the Women's Professional League. And I can assure you, because of the way that that league works and their budgets are thin, that almost in all games, the 4th official is going to be local. So it's going to be somebody coming out of Utah. AR2, in some cases, will also be local, depending upon the travel budgets and how things go for the league. Okay, so you will be tasked with a lot of responsibility. And those games will all be assessed by video, both the USL and the NWSL games, where you will be on debriefs with assessors that you've never met. All of them are the national ref coaches, or what they're called now, which used to be national assessors and national instructors. It's now one pot of people. So from Utah, you guys have JP and Paul in that bucket. Okay, but across the country, there's about 100 of them, give or take. And those debriefs are conference calls, usually a couple days after the game. You're expected to have watched the game and know what's coming in terms of questions and be ready to answer the assessment. So this is kind of where I'm coming from when I give this presentation today. So if you have questions as we're going through, please ask, and I will answer as candidly as I can. So pre-match, we get a game. If you get a game from the professional division, it's going to be 3 weeks in advance minimum, unless you're a late fill-in because somebody else was on the game and they now had to be taken off for injury or sickness or something. All right, so you're going to know that you have a game well in advance. So what are some of the things that you're going to do in advance of that game that hopefully you're doing now and you've been doing all off season? Both. Go ahead. Sleep. Sleep's important. Because without sleep, you can't do the physical part of your training correctly. All right. I think I've talked about this in a couple other presentations where what's required of us at the professional level is monitoring all of our health. Every morning I have to get up and I have to measure my heart rate, my resting heart rate, and that gets recorded. I have to tell them how many hours I slept, how I feel when I wake up. Then I have to do my workout and I have to record what I did and how I felt during the workout. So all of this data is being collected on us on a daily basis. I understand that you're doing some of the same things in your academy. So there's a reason for that, right? The whole idea is to groom you. If you want to get to that top of that pyramid, you have to start to kind of, weed out the people that don't really want to do it. And so this is one of the things that they use to judge our commitment. So the training aspect, both the physical. So what are you doing to prepare? Are you going to the gym and doing a little bit of strength training? Are you just going out and running 3 miles a day at whatever pace you feel like each day, and that's it? Are you going to the track and just running the fitness test once every 2 weeks so that you know you can pass it in March? What are you doing? Right? Is there structure to your plan, and what you're doing, does it relate to what your actions are going to be on the field? So we need both endurance. We need to have kind of the ability to sprint, right? So we need to be quick. We need to be agile. So those are some of the things that you should be incorporating in your training. And another slide, I'll bring up some of the exercises and workouts that I do that will fit into these categories. We'll show you that in a minute. Movements and kind of mimicking game situations. So there are some drills, which I do not have pictures of. It's a little difficult to show on a slide. But there are things you can go out there and do on a grass field or wherever. It doesn't have to be a soccer field. But you can put some cones or water bottles out, whatever you have to kind of designate points to do different exercises. Some of them are what they want us to do to work on agility is we'll put like 5 cones in a zigzag, and you kind of sprint out, then you sidestep, then you sprint, then you sidestep, and then you backpedal and you sidestep. So it's getting the motions that we do on the line, kind of just getting our body used to that, because you're using muscles that you don't use when you run straight ahead, right? So that's one example of something that we do for the movement drills. To the extent that you actually have any kind of camps where you can do some training, those are also helpful, where you can do offside drills, where you can, work on boundary line decisions. So those are some other things, and I don't know, I think Brad has tried to work with you guys in the past on some of that stuff when we've had a chance to do a field session. Those are some of the other things that you can do. The mental aspect. So offside training videos. So you're going to say, well, that's great, but there's a foot of snow outside right now, and I can't go out and run in the snow on the grass field to do some of these drills. So one of the things that we do are these offside training videos. So let me show you an example of what that looks like.
How do you usually work out a day before a game?
Day before a game?
Yeah.
I'll show you that in a minute. I anticipated that question. So this, I can't show, I don't want to show you what we have, because where our training videos are is a password protected site, and I don't want to get in trouble. But there was this in the UK Times, and basically it's very similar to what we have at Pro. So you come on here, and this is kind of what we have as well. Now you have to make a decision, onside or offside. So then they'll come back and they're going to show you in real time, well, slow motion actually started, where the decision was. Okay, so the idea is you do some of these videos. And you're going to be able to practice this, what we call the flash lag effect, because a lot of these, the moment the ball's played, if you blink, you might get it wrong. But when they slow in stop motion, you can see the guy is on by 2 yards. Okay, so this is mentally training your brain to know that you need to compensate for what is happening at real speed. All right, this is something you can actually learn. You can train yourself to condition yourself to learn this. Okay, so this is an example of something that we do, and we should be doing these. They tell us that we should do 2 to 3 of these a week, and ours are usually like 20 to 30 clips in a sitting. And you go through them, and ours are slightly more complicated. So there are 2 parts. The first one is judge on or offside. The second one, they put up a clip of 4 screenshots, and they say, tell us where the person was when you made that decision. And then you have to pick that, and then they tell you if you were right or wrong. So it's great that you can judge on or offside, but then they want to see how close are you to making that decision where you accurately. So something to consider. Laws of the game. I mean, at the level that you're trying to get to, we don't spend hours going over testing in the laws of the game. It's expected that we know them at this point. So yeah, we can debate fine points on a clip, But we're not going to sit here and go, law 2 is this, law 3 is this. Hopefully you guys know that. And if you don't, then spend 15 minutes a week reviewing the law book. I mean, I know that with the recent law changes, I spent a good amount of time going through what the changes are because I don't want to be that guy that raises the flag and then goes, the restart is this, when the law change said it's now that. And go, oops, because that's not going to look good on TV, right? So you guys should probably be reviewing that on a pretty regular basis. And that's one of the things that I do the night before a match. It's kind of like cramming for a test, but I go over a few of the things that I think could happen or that I'm a little wishy-washy on. All right? Preparation. So this is going to be extremely important because the referees are going to require a pregame of all of you when they come in from out of town. And they're going to say that, yeah, we need to be at the stadium 2 hours before the match. And oh, by the way, we're going to have lunch an hour before that. So when you accept a game for the USL or the NWSL, block your whole day, right? If it's a 7 o'clock game, you're likely meeting the referee either at the hotel to take them to lunch or you're meeting at the restaurant at 4 o'clock, getting to the stadium at 5. Okay, that's not negotiable. If you can't commit to that, then you're in the wrong business, okay? Reviewing team data, so all these teams will have websites. The leagues have websites. Go review the teams. Review who are the leading people that take the shots, who are the leading goal scorers, who are the people that commit the most fouls, who have the yellow cards, who have the red cards, who's injured. Is there a national team event going on where, if you're in the women's league, are the players at a World Cup qualifier this weekend? So maybe you're going to have some of the reservists playing instead of, the national team players. All right, that's something that you need to know. The referee is going to ask you questions about this. They're almost quizzing you because they don't know who you are. Okay, and until you get some kind of name recognition and they're comfortable with you, they're going to treat you as though you're a liability to them because you are, right? Until you can prove that, hey, I've been trained by some high-level people, I know my stuff. And once they know that, when they come to Utah, they'll go, hey, we're good. And guess what? That word gets through the league. So other referees that come in will be a little bit more at ease, okay? Because their jobs are on the line. These people are competing for, maybe 3 spots a year to get into the league, and they're not going to leave their fate in a stranger's hands. Right or wrong. That's just the way it's going to be. Okay, points of emphasis. The leagues may put out points of emphasis. The referees will likely give you that information because you're not going to hear that if you're not on the league webinars. But they may say, hey, look, one of the initiatives in pro this year in the MLS is to cut down on the verbal dissent, the very public dissent. They want to stomp that out. So I have a feeling that for the USL and the NWSL, that same point of emphasis is going to apply. So when a referee comes in and tells you that, be ready. Logistics. So I already skipped ahead to logistics. Logistics, again, like I told you, referee is going to be flying in, likely not going to have a rental car, right? It may be the referee in the AR1. Might be all 3 of them, like I said. Be prepared to help them out and be available to go to the pre-match lunch, okay? That also means that we're not doing anything than that one game that day, okay? So we're not doing a game for Alex or for the youth teams and then having this game at 7 o'clock at night, okay? Technically, you're not supposed to do anything for, I believe it's 24 or 48 hours prior to you should not have a game. I think it's definitely 24, it might be 48, but at a minimum, if you have a pro game on Saturday, you should not be doing something Friday. The risk is too great that you get injured in that game, and now they are scrambling to find a replacement for you the next day. Let alone that if you get through it just fine, you've now just wasted all your energy, and now you're in recovery on a game day. Okay? So here's a couple screenshots that I've pasted together. An endurance workout. 24 minutes of work, no rest in between, 2 reps, 1 set. So 6 minutes of jogging, 6 minutes of a long run, at a long speed, 6 minutes at a medium, and 6 minutes at a hard. So that's a 48-minute workout. That's what our endurance is for a day. Another one here, this is a RST is a repeated sprint workout. So 20 seconds of work, 30 seconds of rest, 10 reps per set, 3 sets, with 3 minutes in between each set. So this, if you haven't figured it out, that's pretty close to a fitness test kind of. You know, that's like your 15 and 15 or 15 and 17 or 15 and 18 or something for the women. 18 or 20, whatever you guys get. Okay. But that's kind of what that one's getting you geared up for. This one here this one's at high speed, so this one is for explosiveness. So it's only 10 seconds of work, but that 10 seconds you're supposed to be really digging in. That's the counterattack where you're hauling ass down the field, right? That's what that's supposed to mimic. And then this last one, so you asked me what the day before a game, this is what we do. 5 seconds of explosive work, 30 seconds, 5 reps, 2 sets. So basically 10 sprints. 10 5-second sprints and then 30 seconds of recovery between each sprint. That workout takes 10 minutes. Do that the day before your game. That's just to get your body kind of saying, hey, I got to work tomorrow. Right? So that's getting everything flowing. And then you go to sleep, you get a good night's sleep, you get up the next morning, you have your breakfast, and you start to prepare. Okay. So the warm-up. When we get there, we're going to do a field inspection. Again, this is very basic, but now some of the things, there's a little bit more at stake. So when we go out to, some field in a local town, we don't have a lot of authority to get things changed. Like, yes, we have the authority, but no one's going to listen to us. Okay, so unless you got spray paint and wire ties and duct tape in your car, good luck. However, in the professional ranks, where you guys will be working games both at, the stadium here at Rio Tinto and now at the new facility, you're going to have people at your beck and call to get things done. So that being said, survey your touch line. Does it look like this? That's a real touch line from a real game that I've worked. Okay, that's in Long Island. That's in Brooklyn, actually. For those of you that know Junior's Cheesecake, it's right across the street from Junior's Cheesecake. This touch line is literally maybe 3 yards. When I stood on the line, my rear end was basically brushing up against this wall the whole game.
Is that box the bench?
No, that box is an open door where they keep supplies that then will close, and the bench is right down here.
It swings open in the middle of the game.
No, that was pre-game, but that also just gives you an idea of what I was dealing with. Like, that's the amount of room that's there. That door is wider than the touch line. Wow. So that door might be about this much bigger. Okay, so there you go. Not a lot of room there. Okay, but these are the things that you have to be aware of. How are you going to deal with that? Because obviously you can't move the building. Okay, so it's something you have to compensate for. Sight lines. So, are you going to have nice grass cuts that'll give you 5 yards? Are you going to have to look across and notice that this is not a good sight line because this stadium is curved? And so if you're trying to line up with that railing, guess what? You're not square. Okay, so those are some of the things that you need to pick out. What are you going to use to help you? Are you going to use the technical area benches? Are you going to use a signboard if the signboards are actually straight and not being curved? Okay, these are things that you might not think about because you haven't been in those scenarios. Are these signboards electronic? And are they going to start changing colors and doing all these crazy things and give you an epileptic seizure during the game? Maybe. Might the signboards turn white when the team is wearing a white uniform? Oh, that sucks. Good luck finding your last defender. Okay, so again, these are all things that visually you have to kind of prepare yourself for when you're walking the field. It's not just talking about how the flight was. Okay. Other potential problems. All these games are televised, whether it be on the web or on a TV station. Okay. Can't do much about this guy, but this has to make sure that this is all protected with padding, which most of the time they are, but they are real close to the touchline. This guy, on the other hand, he's the problem. The one that runs all over the place with the camera. So make sure that you let him know or her know that you need your space. Okay, and again, in the professional game, people kind of know what they're doing, but the new women's team concerns me a little bit because you might have people that are a little eager and trying to do things, camera people, photographers, overstepping their boundaries because they don't know any better yet. Okay, so with an expansion team, that's one of the things you have to kind of think about. Player warm-up space. Where is that going to be? Are they going to be warming up behind their AR? At you as the AR, are they going to be behind you, or are they going to be down on the end lines, on the goal lines? Okay. Uneven surfaces or other elements. So if you guys get good enough and make it to the development ranks where they start to travel you to games, you might go to some stadiums where there's baseball fields and soccer fields are overlaid. Okay, so they put, it might be artificial turf for the outfield, but the baseball diamonds are dirt. And then they go and they try to patch those over with random grass or turf. So you need to inspect that. Okay? Or you end up in a field like this. I hope not in a professional environment, but you never know. Okay. Your warm-up routine. So now we've done all that stuff. We've gone to the locker room. Now it's time to really get our bodies ready for the game. The referees, again, are going to ask most of the time that we start to warm up together as a group, and then they'll give you your time to go do your own thing. So usually what they want to do together, and this varies from referee to referee, so this isn't a one-stop kind of shopping here, but how long do you need? You have to figure that out for yourselves. Okay, I'm going to give you my workout for a warm-up, and then you can do whatever you want to do. But generally speaking, 12 to 15 minutes is going to be what most referees will give the crew to warm up. Okay? In that 12 to 15 minutes, you're going to run for 3 or 5 minutes, somewhere in that range, just to get your heart rate going. Just back and forth, straight ahead, essentially. Okay? Then you're going to do what I call your exercises, right? 10 to 20 yards for roughly about a 5-minute period.
The only person in this conference.
7, 8, maybe 10 exercises. Here's most of what I do. This isn't all of them, but it's a routine. So like it's a habit. Everybody, I have to do these things. Otherwise, all of a sudden, mentally, I become a cluster. Okay, so these are same order every game. This is what I do: high knees, butt kicks, side steps, backpedaling, skipping, high knee jumps, the karaoke, and 3 sprints at like maybe 70, 80, 90. Again, just getting the body ready. All right. So now we're at about somewhere around 10 minutes. Then I do these stretching mobility exercises. This is where I go to the signboards and I start doing the leg swings and the kind of like the hurdle type stretches and everything in the lower body, the hips. I'm getting all of that ready because of the lateral movement. Now I have maybe 2 more minutes left. I go to my line, do a little bit of sidestepping, go down, kind of work in the penalty area with going to the corner flag and then backing out, visualizing the whole time I'm there because the players are warming up. So they're kicking balls around. I'm pretending that that's the live game. I see a cross. I start to move and say, hey, that's my second to last defender. Like, I'm not just out there mindlessly running. It's everything is with a purpose because I'm trying to get into, I have a game to do in about maybe 10 minutes. We are going to be out for the anthem. So mentally preparing. Can you adjust to the referee's needs or time constraints? There will be games where everybody is running behind schedule and you only get 8 minutes to warm up because maybe you had to deal with all the field issues and that cut into your warm-up time. All right, maybe there was roster issues. And so all of a sudden, you were there 2 hours before, but the clock is now ticked away. You've lost track of the clock. Can you adjust? Other referees, you may get some referees that are very laid back and they're just going to sit in the locker room and be like, yeah, I'm good. I need 5 minutes. You need to tell them, hey, I really would like 12 to 15. Can we go out, even if they just want to stand in midfield? Okay, but let them know that you need to get ready. And if they tell you no, then get ready in the locker room somehow. Go in the hallway and do sprints. I don't know, but figure it out. So visualization. Are you using the warm-up to mentally prepare? Or are you looking in the stands trying to find your significant other or something? Okay? Don't get me wrong, you know where they are, but then get back to what you have to do. Okay? Have you done a few signals in the locker room, as stupid as it sounds? Have you gone over to the mirror and done a few throw-in signals to see if you're doing this today? Or if you're doing this or something goofy? Sounds silly, but a lot of guys do it, and women. Although we don't get to see them as much because they get separate locker rooms, so I don't know what they're doing over there. Okay, so any questions on the pre-match stuff? All right, so let's talk about match responsibilities. So this is some of the stuff in this first bullet point you already should know. Okay, it comes from where? From the law book? The law? 6. 5 is the referee. 8 yard. Don't know the responsibilities of my I guess. Presentations about ARs, right? That is fair. 6. Are we all here? Just want to make sure. We're going to talk about being present a little bit later. That's my way to some of that. Right? Okay, so not going to spend a lot of time, but those are your primary and secondary responsibilities. Okay. Positioning. So we'll talk a little bit about positioning as we go, but these are the things that they have told the what I want to call them, the ref coaches, right, to kind of look for in ARs. So these are some of the points that you're graded on, that we're graded on. These are some of the things that came from the manager of the ARs for the pro ranks. So Greg Barkey, this was his thing at pro camp this year. Okay, so making sure that we're square. It's basic stuff, but it makes a big difference. Okay, including our upper body. Are we sidestepping with pace? Right? Proximity to the penalty area. So when there's a play happening at the penalty area, are you there? So on those, we were talking about those repeated high-speed sprints and the explosiveness. Are you able to keep up with a 21-year-old player that trains 365 days a year when you guys all have jobs in school and everything else? Right? We all do. But none of us are professional athletes in the sense that we get to do this for a living. Okay? They do. So we have to catch up to them. Are we closer to the action than the referee? Or do we have a better angle of view? Okay, we'll talk about that with the communication. And do we have a credible position when we make a decision? Okay, so obvious example of that is a goal line decision. If you're going to say the ball has crossed the line and you're standing on the 6, is that credible? When everybody looks over, they're going to say, what the hell, this guy's not even on the line. If you're there and you make the decision, a lot easier to sell that call, or we can support it one way or the other depending upon what the video shows. If the video is inconclusive, then you'll be supported all day. If it's clear the ball was in the net by 3 yards and you said no, well, we can't help you there. But if it's there and you're close, or you're there and it's close, benefit of the doubt will go to you in 9 out of 10 cases. Okay, but they're not going to give it to you when you're not in position. Nor should you be making the decision if you're not in position. So the movement. We want to be careful that during the game, we're not leaning to see a line. So you don't want to, kind of be there and doing one of these or doing one of these, because then people are like, what the hell is this person doing? Like, turn your body and look down the line if you need to. Be square. These two are really critical, especially as the game gets faster. Okay? Being ready to move, so you're always on the balls of your feet when there is something in your area. Now, this doesn't mean you should be standing at the midfield line like this when play is down there and it's obvious it's not coming your way for a while. Okay? But if you're on your toes, the next thing you have to do is be balanced. Because it's really easy to be anticipating a play, start to lean, to cheat, and all of a sudden there's a turnover. Guess what? I'm going this way, whether I like it or not. Everything else is going that way. So now I'm a step behind. And in the game that you guys will be doing with the speed, one step makes all the difference in the world of being out of position for an offside decision. It's that simple. Okay? I've been burned on this. I'm going to venture a guess everybody here has as well. You know that feeling when you go, oh, and then you got to go this way. Okay? So the constant adjustments, always thinking for the next phase of play. So we talked about having good positioning, especially on the goal line. Again, even if it's a shot from the top of the area, just keep running, right? By the time, it's the old saying, by the time everybody looks for you, you'll be there, right? You're not going to be there when the shot's taken, but you'll get there by the time everybody looks over to see what happened. So just keep moving. So the anticipation of reading plays. The possible misplayed balls, that's where you need to kind of see that there might be a turnover. Is there a high press that you've seen the defender in front of you is a little shaky with the ball? Or is the keeper one of these people that likes to put the ball down and start to dribble, and all of a sudden here comes the attacker who's just going to put pressure on them and cause a turnover? You need to be ready to react to that. Are there options for a development of a play? So do you see, when you're looking across with your second to last opponent, do you see the passing options that might be there? So that you know you might have to hold the flag because, yeah, there is a knucklehead in an offside position, but there's the person that's going to get the ball coming from an onside position, who's going to run within 2 yards of that offside player, but that offside player has no involvement in the play. So can you visually see that happening before it happens? Is there an offside decision imminent? If not, then make sure you know where your second to last opponent is, be in line with them, turn your attention to the left and help the referee with fouls, okay, or things off the ball. If you have an offside decision, we go back to our responsibilities. That's our first job. This is kind of like icing on the cake. When you can do this, then you're really into the game. And you're probably pretty comfortable as they are at that point. Other times, you're just going to do this for 90 minutes because you don't want to miss this. And that's fine. A lot of the referees will ask you, hey, is this your first professional game, or how many have you done on the line? It's only your first couple. They're not going to expect you to help with stuff right here. They'll pinch in, and they'll tell you that. And then once you've done some games and you're comfortable, you'll start to help them out there. Okay? Movement to the left. So this was a big thing, again, that they want to see out of us last year, and then this year they just want to see it continue. On a corner kick, right? Ball's there, you're on the corner flag with the taking of the corner kick. When that ball gets put into play, especially if it's one that starts to swing out, they want to see us sidestepping with, like, our pants are on fire to get back into position with wherever that ball is going to drop. There's no need to be there anymore on the goal line because likely the people on the post have now moved off. So where's our second to last opponent now? Probably somewhere out around 6 to 8 yards from the goal line at that point. We need to be there. So they want us to move with pace, sidestepping to our left. Okay? When the ball is clearly gone, there's no attackers in an offside position, and the second to last defender dictates the speed at which to move. So the second part of this is, okay, that's the sidestepping part. Coming out when there's play, you need to be sidestepping. But then when can I relax and start to move a little bit more naturally? Let the players dictate that for you. If there's still play in front of you, you need to be square. If play is cleared, or it's clear that the defenders have the ball and there's nobody pressing them and they're just going to knock it around, as they start to move up the field, you can turn and move up the field. You can walk forward. You don't have to sidestep up the field like this when they have the ball with no harm of losing it. Okay? So this is the pace with corner kicks and plays in the penalty area. They want to see hustle and high work rate. Matter of fact, this year they've told us on our assessments, if we show this for 90 minutes plus in a game, that could be an extra point. Okay? That's what they're telling us at the pro level. So if you go out there and you bust your butt for 90 minutes, you could get rewarded just for that. So it could make up for the one offside decision that you screw up and you lose a point, you gain a point for working hard, you're back at even. Okay? Because it's real hard to gain points in assessments. I don't know if you guys know how they work at the pro level, how they'll work for you guys in the USL and the NWSL. You start at 82, and then you go up or down based on what you do in the game. You can lose up to 3 points on one play. KMIs are 1, 2, and 3 points. You can gain 3 or you can lose 3, 2 or 1. Okay. The instances where people gain points are a little more rare because you really have to see something that everybody else is like, wow, how'd they get that right? That's crazy. But the things that you lose points for are a lot easier, right? Okay. Okay, so let's talk about communication during the match. So some basic stuff. You're going to make eye contact with the referee, see where they are. Again, you'll have the comms in a lot of these games, so if you can give them information verbally and they've told you in the pregame how they want that information, you do that first. Okay, is there any advantage to be applied to the situation before you raise the flag and tie their hands? Big picture perspective. So this is where you have to have a feel for the game. Is this something the referee would have called previously? Or have they called this previously? And is this foul really needed for the game? Okay? There may be times where you see an obvious foul, a player is pulling an arm of the defender as they're going upfield, the defender just kind of shakes it off and they want to keep going. Yeah, that's a foul, but does it look like the defender wants to stop? If the defender does this and then kind of just says, referee, okay, they obviously want the foul. But you'll see a lot of players, if they see options, they're going to want to go. So they don't want that foul. They'd rather play. So I talked earlier when I started, we're going to have radios and beeper flags. So how do we use this stuff, right? And then you have your nonverbal, because if this stuff fails, you got to go back to the old school way. You still have a flag. It just may not send the beep or the signal to the referee. And you have your eye contact, and they tell us no hand signals right in the law book, but it says that they're discreet and they have a purpose, you can use them. Okay. So proper use of beeper flags. It's an additional tool that we'll have at our disposal. Okay, to get the referee's attention. When may be useful? Anybody want to take a couple of guesses of when you might want to use these flags?
Put an offside and you can referee it. You can see if you want to let them know.
Okay. And a referee might tell you that they want beeped on all offside flags, just out of habit. Some may say only the ones that I'm not looking you dead in the eye, but others may say just give it to me on every one. Okay, that's absolutely one. What else?
Getting the referee's attention on other situations. Ball in and out of play, players that are up ready to enter the match, things like
Something in their back.
Behind their back. Now, about coming into play, you're going to have fourth officials in a lot of these games, so you don't need to do that unless everybody's on one side of the field and it's you and the fourth official, and they're ready to go. The fourth says, hey, I got the subboard, I'm ready, I got the passes. Buzz the referee to let him know. Although if they have radios, the fourth will communicate that as well. But yeah. So offside, out of the view of the referee, good. Throw in, corner kick, goal kick, that's what you said. So those quick in and out type decisions where you want to get the attention of the referee. So the beeper is not something that is a substitute for what we have to do otherwise. Okay? So players in an offside position, it doesn't mean you stand there and you buzz and you do nothing else. Okay? Yeah, the referee will know what you're doing, but remember that there's 10,000 people in the stadium that need to know what's going on. And the announcers who don't know anything that are going to say random stuff during the game. Okay? So let's talk about yes.
on that. Working with a lot of pro officials by yourself, what is their consensus on beeping, keeping the flag down on foul decisions?
So they will tell you.
I'm sure it's mixed.
It is mixed. Most will tell you they do not want beeps with the flags for fouls.
Okay.
They will tell you two things. One, communicate to me over the radio, you have a foul.
Okay.
Two, if you're absolutely sure it has to be called, put the flag up and own it. And you can beep at that point. But at that point, you're putting the flag up, so you're insisting that we have to stop that foul. But a lot of them will tell you, I don't want what people call the low beeps, which is no flag in the air and you're just sitting here doing this. They don't want that. Because to them, it's a distraction. Either you have information to give, or you're going to make a decision, or just do nothing. Just stay out of it. Okay?
Because I guess that makes sense, because generally in those games you have both. You
Yep.
either have none or you have both with the radio and the beepers, or I guess on our game sometimes we're going to have radios, no beepers, or beepers, no radios.
Yep. There will be instances of both of all three or four of those scenarios. You know, I don't know of any of you guys, if any of you guys have a set of beeper flags here in the state. I don't think there's many floating around. And I don't think anybody has Voqueros in their trunk. So you're going to be relying on the out-of-staters to be bringing those to the matches for you guys. But there will be instances where, yeah, maybe the referee has the radios and you don't have beeper flags. Because maybe both ARs happen to be local. And not every AR in the pro development group has the flags, because they're a significant investment. And you're talking anywhere from $600 to $900 for a set of beeper flags. Okay, so they're not cheap. But hopefully you guys will have a lot of this stuff, because it does make our job a little bit easier. It allows us to focus on the game because we have some aids to get each other's attention and communicate. But I should have put a big disclaimer on this when I started, that none of this stuff is a substitute for what we do in a game. You can't rely on the communication to basically coach each other through the game. Right? It's there to help us enhance our performance, but not, it's not a remote control referee where I'm telling you to do this, do that, do this. Okay? So let's talk about some ground rules, and then we'll get into some AR-specific situations. Speak clearly and loudly enough to be heard. Okay? If any of you guys have a little bit of an accent from any reason because of other languages that you speak, be sure to speak slow and loud. Okay? Because it may come a little garbled over the radio. Avoid negatives unless you are saying no, 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 meaning you don't have anything. Okay? So that might be one where you would use no, no, no. You're the AR, the play is right in front of you. The referee has told you in pregame if it's within 10 yards of you, it's 100% your decision to do what you got to do. And two players are doing, this, and they're locked up, and you're saying no, 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 basically telling the referee, do not call a foul there. I do not have a foul for you. Okay? So that gets the point across. No foul is what we do not want to use. Let me repeat that again. No foul should not be used. That way I avoid the double negative, which cancels it out. I don't know if everybody caught that. So it could be a problem because, again, the radios are not always perfect. They do have static and they cut out. There's crowd noise. It's not perfect in that it's going to sound like a Bose headset on the guy. So they may only hear foul and blow the whistle. We don't want that. Okay? So I don't know who somebody was asking me before. I don't remember where it came from, but when we should kind of beat the referee, same thing as when should we talk. A lot of referees will tell you that they don't want to hear you yapping in their ear when they're talking to a player, when they are in the penalty area during dynamic play, because they're concentrating on maybe a game-critical decision, right? So there are times where you may have information, but they have told you specifically, I don't want to hear you at that exact moment. I'll let you know when I need your information. And that's, again, it's rare because they have a concentration level. And for those of you guys that are referees and have worked with radios in college or whatever, I'm sure you have the same thought process. If you're trying to make a decision about whether a player was tripped in the area, you don't need two other people coming over the radio yapping in your ear because you're already trying to process everything on the field. Okay? But suggesting a caution after play is restarted, not exactly useful. Okay? Avoid talking when the referee or AR is highly concentrated unless it is time critical where if the play leaves that area and the referee didn't call a foul, you may want to tell him, hey, I had a foul from my ankle. And that would result in a penalty kick, right? It's difficult for the referee to hear when there's a crowd of players. So this is one where I was talking about, let's say the referee has called a foul. There's a player injured. He's called on a trainer. And now he gets swarmed by the other team because he's about to give a caution, right? He's got 3 or 4 players yapping at him. He doesn't need your input at that particular moment. When he or she does, they'll usually do this. They'll turn and look at you, and they'll do this. At that point, saying, go ahead and give me whatever information you have, if they need it. Okay? So short phrases. You don't need to tell a narrative. Okay, this isn't your referee report that you're giving over the comm. This is just bits and pieces. So you shouldn't say foul when it's going to be a penalty kick. Help the referee process this information quicker. Right? In the area, penalty, penalty, penalty. If it's a foul outside the area, then foul, foul, foul. Notice that we say a lot of things in 3 of those. Okay, so that it comes through. If it doesn't come through the first time, maybe they get the second and the third. Okay? If you as the AR are talking to players as they're in front of you, that's fine. You don't have to take the mic out and say, hey guys, keep it down there, no hands, and then put it back in. The referee will then know you've told the player something. So if he or she has to then reinforce the message, they heard it. They can tell the players, hey, I heard the AR tell you to knock it off. Real easy. Okay. This also does not mean, though, that when you're the AR, the senior AR, and you're up in front of the technical area and the coach wants to come and have a conversation, that you should have a 10-minute conversation. Point them to the fourth official. Why is that? Because the open mics are push to talk for the fourth official. So the fourth official can hear, but can't be heard unless they hit their button. Whereas the three of us on the field are live the whole game. Question.
What verbal communication do you use with players, or what do you use for them?
Very little other than, if they come over. So during dynamic play, it might just be something basic like, I'm right here. Right? I'm not going to coach them and tell them to play. I may say, play the ball, or I'm right here. That's the extent of it. Or I see the hands. So something very simple. That's when they're in front of me. Other times I may talk to them. Occasionally at the corner kick, I might have to push players back for the 10 yards, or I might have to position the ball in the corner, tell them, hey, that ball's not touching the paint. It's got to touch paint. Other than that, during dynamic play, there's really no reason to talk to them. And during stoppages, a player might come over to chat about a play that just happened. If there's water, an injury, and they're getting water by me, then that's fine. But if that's going to happen, I do try to pull the mic to the side and not have that conversation be so broad, because it's a chit chat that they just want to, they want to try to get on your good side and get the next call. And at the same time, I want to build goodwill so that if I make a call they don't like, maybe we're friends for that 1 minute. Other than that, that's really it. Okay. Other advice on the radio. So the referee may tell you to watch problem players behind their back once they've left a certain area on the field. Okay. The referee might tell you over the radios to come on and get the 10. This one's important. Everybody should have input on the additional time. And usually the referee will tell you guys that at pregame. He'll say, look, I'm going to tell at minute 44 of the first half, I'm going to spit out a number. I want the fourth to give me their opinion, and then ARs give what you have if you don't agree. And then we'll come to a consensus. This one is kind of a tip, but AR2 can help with tracking time on stoppages. And why is that? The fourth official is going to be busy getting the trainers on, dealing with the sub that's now going to come on because the person that was injured is not returning. AR1 is getting yapped at by the other technical area. Okay? So what's AR2 doing over there in no man's land?
Getting water with the players.
Looking for their significant other in the stands, and then they are looking at the clock, and when all of this is over, they're going to say, 2 minutes, guys. That was 2 minutes in total. That helps the fourth official then put that note down on their little pad. They're aggravating all the time. Okay? Real easy tip. And a lot of referees in this group that you'll be dealing with, hopefully that's something that they've all been using. Okay? All right, so let's look at some situations here. Well, actually, I think the next slide. So from the AR to the referee, if we're giving information over the comms, we want to keep it basic. Shirt color of the team that's going to take the throw. Right? So if you have a white team and a blue team and it goes out, you're going to say white throw, if that's whose throw it is. Okay. On corner kicks, goal kick, just say corner or goal kick. Usually, you might want to say that as you're getting to the space, especially if it's a deflection and you're letting the referee know what you have. That way, if they have something different, we're not getting crossed. Okay. Tight decision, goal line or touch line, either good or still in. Both I use. Again, that, and for those that have worked with me, I'm a big fan of this hand signal when it's on the touch line and it's saying I just kind of give them one of these and say, yeah, but that's good, we're going to play. Okay. So it has become a habit, unfortunately, whether good or bad. If a restart is taken quickly, this one, you could use this one on goal kicks sometimes when the referee is running up the field and maybe is dealing with a player kind of that they want to chat with and has their back, and all of a sudden that team restarts quickly. We're not going to stop the play, but say, hey, ball is in. That way the referee can go, oh shit, turn around and see play coming at them now. Okay? alert the referee to something going on behind their back. And hopefully, if it's violent conduct, we are dealing with that immediately. Okay? And that, I've heard different things be used for that, but I think the easiest term there is stop the game, if we have a violent conduct that we need to deal with, regardless of what's happening, right? The referee then can stop the game. Deal with it. Offside. Okay? And the offside decision when the ball is kicked. So for this one, what we're talking about here is think about a referee and their positioning on the field, and you as the AR. If the referee has to make a 30-yard sprint to get to the penalty area, if you're the referee, wouldn't you want to know that that player's going to be onside so that you're not just standing there waiting for the flag to go up and then all of a sudden the flag doesn't go up? So saying good or on is usually what you want to do on close offside decisions. Close being relative. Like if it's 10 yards and everybody can see it, you don't need to say a word. But if it's a couple yards or the referee's angle might make it look a little goofy to them, there's nothing wrong with good or on like one time. That's not one that you need to repeat 3 times. Because the referee's going to say, dude, you're giving me a headache. Okay? Avoid onside because onside, offside, that can be misinterpreted. So again, a lot of people use he's good. And if they're offside, you may say 9 offside or blue offside, whatever the team is. Okay? And as you do these teams a lot more, you're going to get to know the players. It's not like your amateur games where one week you have 10 players show up, and the next week it's like only 2 of those same 10 show up. Okay? There's always a chance a player won't get involved, but again, this tells the referee what to expect. And here might be something where, again, this is where you have to learn the referees, and then how comfortable are you with being able to focus. Because remember, you're going to be focused on the second to last opponent at this point, so you may not be able to talk because you just may be so zoned in on what you're doing, you forget. But you may want to say sometimes that 10 offside position, or what we use is the word position because we try not to have offside, onside in our vocabulary for the radios. So you might say 9, 10 position, meaning that player's in an offside position. So should they get involved, the flag is going up because of that. Okay? Or 9's off if they touch it. Okay? Instead of saying offside, a lot of us just say off, off, off 3 times. 2-syllable words are too much. Okay? Again, versus saying if they're onside, he's good just 1 time. Okay? So here, let's take a look at a situation and what I'm talking about. Referee here, AR, second to last opponent.
Menacingly, Matuidi, he looks over the top here, Griezmann is onside, and Griezmann produces another save out of Yemen, which the Milwaukee can be proud of. He keeps his side from going too behind.
So right here, the AR is saying
to
on.
Matuidi's
So the
pass.
referee knows start sprinting because there's going to be a decision that you're going to have to make. So that clip is illustrating where when you see that player, that's a tight enough decision, the referee needs you to tell them they should be running. Okay?
Back here now for Eduardo. Eduardo shots. He touches his hands.
Okay, so onside or offside? Okay, but you see the confusion, there's a delay before the referee calls the goal. In this case, the AR should proactively be saying, good, he's good. Okay, Because what the referee doesn't see in their vision is these two players that came over here, this guy becomes the second to last opponent. All he sees is a guy that's presumably in a 5 yards offside compared because he thinks this is the second to last opponent, right? So the referee goes, wait a minute, why is there no beep? Why is there no flag? He looks over and sees the AR like, we're good, right? Like, what are you looking at me for? So that's one where you want the communication, right? When might you need help from, so we've talked a lot about you giving a lot of help to the referee. When does the referee need to help us out? Okay? When you're not sure who's touched the ball, right, you can ask for help. So this is the decision where you're looking across and there's three players. Maybe one defender, two attackers. One of those attackers is in an offside position and one is not. Three legs go out. You have no idea which leg the ball hits, and all of a sudden there's an attacker going to the goal with the ball. You can't put your flag up and guess. So there's where you have to say help. Right? And if the referee says attacker, they're telling you the attacker play the ball to the other attacker. If they tell you defender, they're telling you the defender played the ball to the attacker. So in the first case, right, you may have offside. In the second case, you better not have offside. Okay? So that's where you need to ask. Okay, so help, was there a touch? Or the more specific you can be, the better. Did 9 red play the ball or touch the ball? Okay, it's a conversation. The referee might say touch if it's the attacker, might say defender. In that case, you keep the flag down. Okay? And all the referees, this is a big point of emphasis for them. They will tell you in their pregame what their terminology is. They may even ask you, what do you prefer? Because some don't really care, they're flexible. Others are very, this is what I use, and so you got to get used to it. Okay? But almost across the board, defender is keep the flag down. It's this touch, they may say touch, play, attacker will be one of the three that you'll get on the other side. If you have really good referees and they're like laser focused during the game, some of them will do this without being prompted, and then that just makes it seamless for you as the AR. Okay. So let's take a look here. An example where you might need some information.
Driven wide, and as a result, scraped across the face. Iniesta sticking out along. Oh! Beaten out by the goalkeeper. Alonso still against this, but the flag is up.
Okay, so there you might be asking the referee if you need that help. It's possible that you couldn't see through the player on the ground to see if the defender touches that ball or if it hits off the red player and goes forward, right? So in any event, this AR, we don't know if there was communication there, but this is an example of a situation where you might need some help as you go, I have no idea how that ball got back to the guy that is presumably in an offside position. Because if it did come from a defender who played it, we're good. And I think this one they got right, but it is offside because it comes from the attacker, at least it appears to on the replay. Okay. So how about the ones where you have interfering with an opponent or the line of sight issue? Okay. Again, we're looking across like this. We can't tell if that player that's 34 yards this way from us is directly in front of the goalkeeper, or if they're 5 yards to the left or right, because we don't have the depth perception going this way, right? We only have this way. So if that's happening, you can say line of vision, or again, what I told you, you say position. All right? You're going to give that information, the referee will either say confirmed or no. They may say it's a goal, or yeah, you know what, they were, put your flag up. And then they'll blow the whistle, you put the flag up, it's offside, no goal. So there you go. They'll tell you what they're going to do in that situation in pregame. So here's an example.
Teixeira with the ball into Kakuta Mane, who has time to turn back into the path of Teixeira. Oh my God! Oh my word! Oh my God! To try and free up Christian Teixeira, his drive across the face of goal just flipped in the little back heel from Palmer.
Watch the beginning of the clip and watch the AR.
Teixeira with the ball into Kakuta Mane, who has time to turn back into the path of Teixeira. Oh my God! Oh my word!
Referee is pointing. AR held their position because they said we should talk. Right? So what they were asking was there the player interfering with that play in the outside position? Okay. Referee had already made up their mind that that player did not interfere with the play. AR says, okay, I gave you my piece, you have your piece, you're the boss, we go. Okay? That's the teamwork aspect of this play. Okay?
Did you get any feedback on the decision?
On that decision,
Yeah.
I think they got that right. Yeah. That wasn't my game. That was from 3 or 4 years ago. But I do know that the AR there is a guy from Seattle, from Washington area. But I never asked about the clip, but I think they got that right. At least even under the rules, the laws at that time. Yeah, absolutely got it right. So an AR can say foul if they see one. Again, this is where you guys asked the question about the beeping, low beeping. We'd rather go over the calm and say that you have a foul. Okay? If you have the better position and you're 100%, then you go up with the flag to tie the referee's hands. Okay? You can give the referee information that there's handling and let them blow the whistle and you go up at the same time. It looks really good if it happens at the same time. You know, them blowing the whistle and then you going up 5 seconds later, too late at that point. You lost your chance. Okay? But you guys can, look like a team there if you can get that to be almost simultaneous. So let's look here at one where there's a foul.
Support on the right for the Wingy. Goes for goal and scored. Tap by Lloris. And maybe this one has gone. For whatever reason. But a decent try. Wingy. Willing to have a go. The man of Lloris puts it in. Lloris could catch it. Puts it out. At which point I think it was a Nigerian in an offside position.
Even the announcers get it wrong. Player clearly handles the ball. Okay? Actually, deceitfully handles the ball. Okay? And who caught that? The AR. Because if you actually looked in the first part of the clip, watch the AR do this with their hand.
Support on the right for the Wingy. Goes for goal and scored. Tap by Lloris.
He's getting some like this. He's telling the referee.
A decent try.
And he's probably communicating. I think that's Joe Fletcher.
The man of Lloris puts it in. Lloris could catch it.
So there's no way the referee can see that because their position is straight through the back.
Right?
So that's one where you need to put your flag up if you're 100% on that. And what's the harm in that one? It's coming out, right? So a referee will usually tell you those ones in the penalty area where it's going to come out. They'll defer to you guys if it's closer to you, especially any foul coming out along that, 18 yards and in. Maybe outside the penalty, especially like this area over here that's going to be yours. They'll take the foul. There's no reason to take a risk there. It's going to be a free kick coming out that's 100 yards from goal. Who cares? Right? Okay. Again, give advice if you have it, but don't guess on things. There's no reason to talk if you don't have it. If you don't have concrete info to give, just keep your mouth shut. Silence is basically saying I don't have anything. Okay? But this is the one here where I was saying we can't hide behind the low beep or even the mic. And not do something when in fact it's 100% game critical and that you need to make the call. Okay? If you put the flag up and then the referee does this to you, then you're safe. Because in the debrief, the video shows that you would have been right. You did everything you could. You don't have the whistle. But if you said in the debrief, I beat them and I told them over the comp, the assessor is going to say, why didn't you put the flag up? Okay? So here's one where okay, so that's one of the ones that I was telling you about. The referee all day will say, give me that foul. Easy. Just say foul, foul, foul as right before you go up. They're going to start blowing the whistle. You're already starting to do this. It looks real nice and clean. Referee's pointing. AR is pointing. Perfect. That's textbook. And I think that's actually Geiger and Fletcher. Okay. Misconduct from the AR referee again. So advice given early. Okay. Leads to credibility. If you give advice, again, 10 minutes after the fact, how good are you at that point? This right here, don't be wishy-washy. We don't have the orange card, so you either have yellow, red, or you just don't know. And referees will tell you they would rather you say, I don't know, than give them what they think they want to hear.
Yeah.
Okay? Let them make their own decision if you have no input. Just say, I don't know. Done. Okay? There may be a learning point there of why you don't know, but that's what we'll do in the postgame. Okay, so don't guess. You can advise players, you can advise the referee if you think it's just a verbal warning as opposed to a yellow card. You can say, hey, that's the stuff off the ball. Maybe at a stoppage, hey, 9 and 12, keep an eye on them. You might want to have a word. They're getting close. Referee can do what they want with that info. Okay. Persistent infringement. If you guys get very comfortable in your games, you can start to keep a pattern of, hey, this player's been fouled 3 times and we haven't really made a big deal about it yet. Because in the professional game, that's some of the tactics that will happen. The fouls will happen in the middle third of the field that just seem like fouls. But guess what? They're there to break up the flow from the team that's putting, the fast-paced attack. They're just simple fouls. They're not reckless, but they become persistent. Okay? We have to recognize that. If the referee is kind of on the fence and they're basically asking for your input, again, give it if you have 100% answer. And remember, whatever information you give, the assessor is going to ask you guys about that play after the game in the debrief. They're going to say, okay, let's look at this clip in the 34th minute. Referee, you gave a yellow card. What did you see? And they're going to say, I saw this. I was on the fence between no card and yellow. I asked for input. AR1 told me yellow. And the assessor's going to go, okay, AR1, what did you see? And that's where you better know your laws of the game and know that if you say, oh, it was just a careless foul. Guess what? You just hung yourself. Okay? So know what you're talking about when you make these decisions. So tactical info. Okay. This is one where some referees don't want this, others only want it from people that they've worked with a long time. But if there's a play where the referee was down tight next to the goal area or the penalty area, and you're the AR that's now going to become the lead AR, you were the trail. If you see that there's one attacker, it's going to be a 1v1 or maybe a 2v1, you should let the referee know so they can get out of dodge and get up there to get with the play. You can say 2 back, or 1 back, or no one. Okay? Same thing on corner kicks. If you're the trail AR and you see that the goalkeeper is now at midfield, you can say everybody's with you, or no one back. Some referees want it, others don't want to hear that. It's a comfort thing with some referees. Okay? Yeah, that tells the referee whether they need to work hard or they can take a break. let's take a look at this one.
So just asking the question there, here he comes in towards short dots very well, Samari bearing down on it.
See the referee standing with the goalkeeper, and now he's got to do that.
He turned back like Gallus, but he continues. They are good. Well, he perhaps was about twice there, so we have Gallus. But in the end, he can't.
So basically leaving the AR out to dry there, right? You become the referee in that instance. But if the AR would have said, hey, I got a 1v1, the referee hopefully wouldn't have been standing next to the goalkeeper when they punted. And the referee wasn't moving at all, completely static. So sometimes you need help, right? And we won't say what some words happen over the mics occasionally. But should the referee say help, that's telling you as the AR you're now the referee until told otherwise. And usually then when they get back in position, they'll say I'm here, or I got it. And at that point, you then turn back to the AR. Okay? That means that you might have to put your flag up even if the foul is on the other side of the field, but you're the closest official. On that breakaway, that's in the middle of the field, but the AR, if he has a foul, has to put the flag up regardless. Okay? And then the referee will tell you when they're back in the position. So let's look at this one.
This here. Damian. Oh, it's Chiellini. Campbell, away to Marseille. Chiellini's challenge. And the referee has to pick it up. The play is being picked up. But should they have been ahead, or at least have a penalty? Couple of.
So look where the referee is. Way back there. I think they get to the center circle when that foul comes. For me, that's a penalty.
Yeah.
AR needs to own that one. So the referee, I think in this one, may not have said anything, perhaps. I don't know. But we don't know but this is an example of where you as the referee should be saying help, and you as the AR should be going, I'm now the referee, I will make this decision if I need to.
That's so crazy as a AR, because I mean that was probably 2.5, 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Where the referee has, the 1 to 2 seconds to say help, and the AR has the 1 to 2 seconds to jump in and like switch their mindset. That's
You have to be
crazy.
anticipating this
Yeah.
as the AR as well. You have to see that the referee is way down here, and now there's a turnover. This goes back to the point I talked about with turnovers or misplays, and now it switches the dynamic.
In that situation where it's only one player going forward, or there's probably not going to be an outside decision, is it better to maybe try and have a better angle, or stay with that second last defender?
You have to be with the ball.
You can't trail this tiny bit to maybe get a better angle.
No, I wouldn't advise it. I mean, because you don't know if that player is now going to maybe he doesn't go down and gets around, and now all of a sudden there's another decision and you're out of position. Yeah. So just be in your position. No one's going to fault you for not having the right view if you were in position. I mean, if you get blocked, you get blocked. So some final suggestions for teamwork. Okay. The referee may not always talk over the radio. You're going to find there's some people that absolutely despise these things. If they could take it out of their ear for the whole game, they would. So you may say something, they may not respond. Hopefully they'll give you like a head nod or yeah, I got you or whatever, but that's why the eye contact becomes critical. So you can't lose that with the radios. Okay? You will have the referees give you this in the pregame. They're going to tell you what they want you to look at and what your area of responsibility is during set pieces. Okay, whether it's handling in a wall if you're the closer AR maybe, or if you're the trail AR and the AR that's lead has offside, the referee is watching for everything else. They may tell you as the trail AR, hey, if somebody in the wall hits that, I need to know over the mic and beat me. Give me everything in that example. Okay. Again, we talked about this. If there's potential for like an odd man rush, so the referee knows to kind of get back into the play. So don't do this unless you know the referee very, very well and you guys have shared a couple root beers in the past. But, you know, if I see one of my buddies in trouble, I'll tell them to, if I can help, I'll say, hey, you got a player in your back, get out of the way, move left. Again, I'm not going to remote control them, but if I can help them once or twice with their positioning, I will. Now, I can assure you I will not do that as a rookie in the pro division this year. No way in hell I'm going to tell Jair move or to move. Okay? So, but if it's people that you grew up with in this thing and they trust you, you can help them out. You know, you can notify the referee at a stoppage if the star player is getting just beat up on every play. Okay. When a player with a caution changes positions, especially as a fourth official, because you guys will have some of that as well. If these leagues, you know, we will not have re-entry. If a subbed off player was a carded player, you should let the entire crew know after the sub. 23 was a yellow card, no longer in the game. That way we all know now we don't have that player to issue a second yellow card to. It helps us out. Okay, time wasting. You can say, hey, the keepers pick the ball up and put it down 4 times as you were running up the field. Right? Again, the restarts. If the referee is getting in position and has their back to the ball, you can say ball and let them know it's been struck. And that means we're in play. So, again, our offside decisions, be patient. Okay? Wait and see if you raise the flag. Hold your signal for a nice 7 to 10 seconds. Let the camera come in and take a nice picture of you for Facebook. Okay? You can put it up as your profile picture. Same for fouls. Okay? And one of the reasons that we want to do this is it prevents the time wasting, because now if I've done this and this real quick and put my flag down, now when the player takes the ball and goes 15 yards up here and puts it down, they were like, well, ref, I don't know where it was, ref. It's time wasting. If I'm standing here like this, all of a sudden I'm pointing and I'm saying right here, well, there's no miscommunication about where the restart should be. So it does prevent some time wasting. Flag technique, as much as you don't want to believe it, it always matters. Someone's always watching. Okay? Be deliberate. There's no reason to get all crazy and put it up in the wrong hand and then do this. And, you know, you're not landing a plane. It's okay. Be calm. Look confident. Okay? So don't make a decision and then look at your shoes. Okay? This last one's real important, guys. Okay? Someone is always watching us. And you may not have a great day that day, but you can't go around and throw your flag and kick things and do all the stuff. You know, do it at home. But I hate to say it, but I have to reinforce it because it happens. Okay? Or maybe you wanted to make a decision in the game and the referee told you to, you know, shut up. That's for when you guys get in the car on the ride back to the hotel. Have it out in the car. All right, so let's look at a couple offside decisions with wait and see, and we're just about there.
Jess wasn't getting on the field. I know how citizen she is. I'm sure she's still supportive of the team in this mission. There are too many personalities that are among the leading scorers all the time. They need to play with that sort of grace.
Referee actually got in the way. The flag is out. There it goes. It's out. It's out. No cover, no goal. It's loud and proud here.
Good wait and see.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. Right? You had a player that's streaking down who's onside. Real easy to just say, this player that was in the outside position is going to get it. You don't know that, though. Right? So that AR had to show a little bit of patience. Had to not also freeze, because how many of you would have saw the offside and then said, I got this, and all of a sudden, now you're toast. Okay? Referee had the wherewithal to keep up and then make the decision. So excellent work for the wait and see. So boundary lines. This one is actually, this clip has, I think, 2 or 3 components. You're going to have an offside decision. You're going to have a goal line decision for a goal, no goal, and then you're going to have a ball in and out of play for a goal kick, corner kick, all in the same phase of play.
Van Wyk was able to
for the run at first. First, though, some nifty footwork. First, to the outside of the area. Sends it to the back post. And it's off the bar. Leon thought she scored. She's signaling to the referee and never crossed the goal line. And this is going to go for a Boston corner. It should have been one for Boston.
Leon still looked like she was having a word with the referee there, thinking that that was a goal and no signal for a goal. Leon there standing by herself on the back post, wide open, but unfortunately hitting the crossbar. No goal.
Point blank. That was wide open for Leon. Abby Smith was beaten, and it goes off the bottom of the crossbar. Her sends another cross in at her end. This is retrieved at the last moment by Abby Smith.
Okay, so potential offside on the first play where that ball gets lofted in. Looks weird because our camera angle was kind of crappy, but she was onside moves with the ball. Takes a shot that goes up and down, so the AR had to get to the line because they were not on the goal line. They were with that player that took the shot. Then you have the three players, two defenders, one attacker come near side to the goal line, and the ball bounces off of two players and goes out for a corner. And then that last play, potentially an offside player when the goalkeeper gets the ball, keeps the flag down, and we play. So 4 decisions in, 40 seconds? Okay, so again, that's where you have to be focused and kind of just say, okay, I made that one call, but now there's several more that get tacked on. So this one is going to be one where you need teamwork because each referee has a piece of the puzzle.
Still driving, Gordy Howard leaves it off. Lewis steps, shoots, deflected, turned. It's in from Williams. It won't count. Flag is up.
It was offside, but that ball can't fall any kinder for you. Almost looked like he got held up in the wind and looped over that defender. Just unlucky for Williams to be in an offside position. If you're Jimmy Rivera, you don't want this half to end. Austin is doing a good job of not giving up that last ball, but right as it was hit,
Deflection, not deliberate play, therefore offside. Okay, so the referee likely was telling the AR at that point that that was either attacker or defender, or if the referee didn't say anything, the AR knew they had a player in offside position, but they weren't sure was that a play or a deflection. So they may have asked, who played that ball, or whatever the question, however you want to phrase the question, but that's one where the communication has to happen. Okay. So this one, focus and concentration. Right? I mean, 60 minutes into the match, I think most of us tend to lose our focus maybe in the 70s. So I'm not sure what the excuse is for this one, but take a look.
There's a counter. Bauer's way out. Smart's there. Bauer. Whoa. Danger zone. Racing back. Smart knows it. And in the box for the Cosmos defending. The cross is headed away. A fight.
Second to last opponent is now the goalkeeper, right?
Yeah.
Referee totally just got mind scrambled there. Guy is off by 10 yards practically, maybe 5. But keeps the flag down and we play. So that's one where you can't lose focus. You got to be always talking to yourself in your head saying, this is my second to last opponent. Now they've just switched. Oh, who's my second to last opponent now? Okay. All right, so the last little part. So when we were at Pro Camp, we had a sports psychologist come in and talk to us. And this guy has worked with a lot of professional baseball teams. And I just kicked the cord out. Excellent. And so this guy spoke to us about kind of our mental preparation, both leading up to the game and during the game. And in preparation, not necessarily during the game, but what are you doing mentally during the game to keep yourself engaged and focused? And I found it interesting because one of the things that he said was being present. Okay, so do I know why I'm here? Do I have clear thinking for this particular event? do I have total involvement? Or am I checking my email for school and worried about my assignment that's due tomorrow? Okay, so what is it that I'm here to do? Am I comfortable with being uncomfortable? Okay, so you're going to be going from games where there are 6 people and a couple dogs to games where there are 6,000 people. Okay, it's a big difference. And those people paid to be at the event, not to see us. They're there to see the entertainment on the field. As a result, you're a byproduct of some of what they don't like, right? So do you have resiliency and thick skin to kind of block out the noise? Okay. You give 100% of whatever you have that day. So, you know, did you get enough sleep the night before? Didn't get 8 hours, maybe you got 6. Still have to give 100% the next day. You can't give 80% because you didn't get 100% sleep the night before. Okay? When I go back to that clip where I showed the 4 decisions in a row, the next call matters. So you need to, regardless of what happened on the previous call, move on to the next call. That one's gone. You can't take it back. Okay, we'll look at it after the game, we'll analyze it, and if we made a mistake, we won't make that same mistake next game. Okay? This one I thought to be the most interesting of what he talked about. What game do you bring to the table that day? Is it your A game, B game, or C game? Is how he phrased it. And if you have your A game, you're walking on water that day. You make every call with your eyes closed. The game is in slow motion. You're seeing things like the Matrix. Okay, before they happen. If you have your B or C game, which is likely what you're going to have the majority of the time, how do you compensate for not seeing the game in slow motion? How do you react when, you know, everything seems to be the most difficult decision in the world? Right? So you need to know what game you have on to that day for yourself, and how do you mentally adjust to compensate for whatever deficiencies that you have. And the context he used is because he works with a lot of baseball teams, like I was saying, is he used this in the context of pitchers and said, look, you know, a pitcher or even a hitter, a good hitter is a 300 hitter. So that means they're getting a hit, what? Right? 1 out of every 3 at-bats, I guess. Pitchers, a lot of them, you know, they might have one game where they go 9 innings and, you know, they throw 100 pitches and 80 are strikes. More often than not, they're out there for 5 innings, they throw 100 pitches, and it's 50-50. But do they compensate to get the outs and do what they have to do and grind through it? So you kind of have to just get through it, okay? This one is also pretty important. And I didn't realize that I do this, but after hearing the guy talk about it, you know, I started to kind of go, oh, hey, I do that. He talked about having a way to refocus. How do you reset after something maybe went wrong? So maybe it didn't go wrong, but you don't know. The point is that something is in the past is bothering you right now, but you can't let that bother you during the game, right? So I just made an offside decision. It was close. I can't be thinking about that decision and replaying it in my head, because now I'm going to miss the out of bounds decision that's so obvious that if I get it wrong, people are going to be like, where's this guy at today? What is he doing, right? So what do you have to, as a trigger, to kind of say, okay, I got to leave that go and get back to here, right? So for me, I don't know, like I do weird things with my hand. You know, I'll kind of like do this to myself, or I'll kind of tap myself on, and that's kind of like, hey, get back to this and don't worry about what happened 30 seconds ago. And I didn't realize I was doing it. It's like a trigger. But you guys have to figure out what that is for you. Maybe it's just taking a deep breath. I don't know. Count to 2, something, right? But you do have to have the confidence, right? So when you get assigned these games, you're in this room, you're on the roster for those games for a reason, right? So know that we're not just putting anybody out there in these games. At least I hope not. Right? And lastly, you have to have a little bit of fun. It's okay to smile once in a while. So I'm the guy that will never smile, but I will smile occasionally when I'm having a good time on the field. Okay? you never know if it's gonna be your last game. Pretty simple, right? And I don't mean it in like a career-ending, devastating ACL tear. It's just, you know what? Maybe the league disbands, and now you don't have a team locally, and now you never got a chance to make it onto that radar, and that was your last game at this level. You don't know, who knows? So, last section of the presentation, post-match. After the match, we get to the locker room. We need to take out our books and confirm the misconduct. That's all 4 people. Okay? Yeah, the 4th official has to write the match report, but we all need to assist in that. So whether that's helping get the right names off the rosters and the shirt numbers, and looking up the 7 and 7, or having out the law book to make sure we get the right verbiage, let's all take a part in that, because we're all responsible for that match report if it's screwed up. Self-assessment analysis within 1 to 2 days after the match. I think you guys have to do that. I know last year's academy did that. I'm assuming you guys are doing something similar this year for all your matches. Yes?
We don't have matches yet.
When we have matches.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay? So those will go up, and people will have an opportunity, the administrators will take a look at those. This is what you also need to do, or this is what you should be doing in this as part of this self-assessment. All these professional games will be on various platforms. You'll be able to watch them after the fact. Review the game. Look for your KMIs, or look at the KMIs that are yours, and if you want to look at the referees, great. For your self-assessment, one thing to improve upon, one success in the match that you thought you had, one thing you learned, one emotion you felt during the game. And then if you have the ability to talk with a ref coach or a mentor, you can always do that too. Then you're going to have that debrief with the assessor and the rest of the crew, where all of this is going to have expected to be done before that happens. Okay? And then the referee coach will write their assessment. You are expected to go and read that assessment. Because should you not read that, and then you see that assessment later in the season, and they go, hey, I thought we talked about sidestepping to the left. And you go, what? Good luck. Okay? So, any questions? Yes.
I want to ask about what you're eating before a match.
Donuts.
Yeah.
Before a match.
Or day before or after.
So the day before, my preference is to eat carbs. I treat it like I do when I'm running races. I eat pasta or like mac and cheese on a day before. So then I have the carbs. The day of a match, if it's a regular 7 o'clock type kick, I'll have breakfast in the morning, somewhere in like the 8 to 9 range.
Okay.
And then probably go back to bed for a while. And then in the afternoon, have something with protein and, more on the lighter side. So I tend to eat like a salad with just grilled chicken is kind of what I like. I don't really want something too heavy. And, just hydration pretty much all week leading up to the match. That's really, I keep it kind of basic. And then when we get to the locker room, I may have like a half a power bar before warm-ups, and then have the other half at halftime. I'm not a real big eater in terms of that. And then in terms of liquids, some Gatorade, electrolytes during the match, like before and at halftime as well.
Anything special after?
After, what we try to do is get some kind of protein in us, just like you would if you worked out. So in the locker room, they might have some of the places will have a protein type shake, but not all of them are very great tasting. So, think about if you have the ability to bring something yourself, have some kind of protein, whether it be a bar or a shake. We want maybe 20 grams of protein right after, within, just like a workout, within 30 minutes. I think that's what most physical fitness people will tell you. And then just try to rehydrate a little bit as well. It's likely you're dehydrated. And then we go to dinner usually right after we get out of the locker room. We go and grab a bite to eat. That's where people get a cheeseburger and French fries and just kind of pig out for a little bit, because then we're back to the grind the next day. Okay. So that's really all I have for you guys. Okay, thanks.
I don't have any addition for you, except for those who were at the USU, a week from yesterday, a week from Saturday, you all got your outline with details.